only drawback that I see with this freezer so far is that you have to have it plugged in for it to work. It does not have an internal battery at all. So once you disconnect it from power, it shuts off and now it's a normal cooler. ICECO says it will keep things cold for about 3 hours after removing it from power. But as you can see, I've got ours plugged in to my All Powers battery bank right now. So let's do a couple tests and see how many watts it pulls when you first start it up, and then how many watts it takes to maintain the temperature once it gets there. All right, so I'm gonna turn on my All Powers here. As you can see, it's charged up to 100%, 0 watts output right now. So let's turn on the DC. That should give us power to the refrigerator. And as you can see, things are starting to light up here. So you hold the power button down, turn it on. And then of course you got the left side or the right side to change the different temperatures from each side. Or if I remove the partition, then this side will go blank and then you can only control it from the top temperature. So let's set this down. We'll make the left side a freezer. And we will set the temperature at about, let's do 20 degrees. There's 20. And then we'll set the refrigerator side. Let's go 35 degrees. All right, so now it's gonna start cooling. Let's see how many watts we're pulling. So it looks like about 35 watts right now. So around 35 watts to initially power up the ICECO and get things going, start getting things cold, and we'll see what it does when it gets to temperature and just maintains it. It's even got a little chart on the inside of the lid with recommended temperatures for different items that you could put in here. Another great thing about this ICECO G20 is you can monitor and change the temperature from an app on your phone, which I actually used the other day. We were going down to visit some family for the day. We had the cooler in the trunk of the car with all our food items in it and drinks. It was plugged into our All Powers battery bank. And as I was riding in the car as a passenger, I was able to check the temperature and make sure that it was maintaining a proper temperature to keep our drinks cold and our food cold. So it worked out pretty cool. We also used this cooler in the back of our Jeep the other day. We went for an e-bikes ride and took some cold drinks with us so we could enjoy them after the ride. We had it plugged into the 12-volt DC outlet in the cargo area of the Jeep the whole time we were on our e-bikes ride. The ride lasted probably about 2.5 to 3 hours. And when we got back, we had nice cold drinks and we had some snacks, and the battery for the Jeep was perfectly fine. But if that is something that you worry about, which you should if you're going to be using this on a weekend and you have it plugged into your car's battery for an entire weekend, you don't want to have a dead battery when you go to leave. Well, this actually has a prevention method for that. It's got 3 different settings that you can set for it to shut off when it senses that battery power is getting too low. So what that means is if you have this plugged into your vehicle all weekend while you're camping and the battery gets too low on your vehicle, it will automatically shut itself off to prevent that battery from completely draining. So it looks like it's stabilized and is more like 55 watts or so that it's pulling to initially cool it down. Originally it was around 35, but now it's pretty steady at 55. The G20 also has a fast cooling feature. So if you activate that feature, what it does is it takes all the power for the refrigerator and moves it to the left side for the first 15 minutes of cooling to get that freezer really down to temperature. And then after the 15 minutes, it'll stabilize and provide power to both sides again. So if you don't know and you're new to the channel, my wife and I have been living and traveling full-time in our RV for over 3 years. So we got a few ideas that we want to use this G20 for. Number one, we've got a clam that we've put up at most of our RV sites as entertainment space. That's where we play games with friends. That's where we host potlucks, barbecues, that kind of thing. So the G20 is going to be perfect inside the clam. I no longer have to go in and out of the RV to grab drinks or snacks or food or whatever. We can just leave this in the clam, run a power cord out to it. It'll be a lot easier. Number two, like I mentioned before, we own a Jeep and we are heading back west this winter, planning on doing a lot of Jeeping adventures. So we're excited to use this in the back of the Jeep while we're out four-wheeling all day. We can bring our lunch, we can bring cold drinks, snacks, whatever it is we need. Number three, as you can see, we currently live in a fifth wheel, but we are getting ready to transition to a Class A. And what we want to do with the G20 is we want to install it in one of the lower basement storage on a sliding tray. So that way we have an outdoor freezer, refrigerator on our Class A. Then we can either just transition it from there to the clam when we need it, or just leave it outside. Either way will be a lot better than constantly going in and out of the RV to get stuff, you know, tracking in dirt and letting in bugs.